So what does the Trump-Musk administration do to address the terrible economic pressures on seniors all over America? Well, they got a brilliant idea. They illegally fire thousands of workers at the Social Security Administration with plans to cut that staff in half.
Señores, las cosas no pintan nada bien para Donald Trump. Y eso es quedarse corto. Estamos viendo que una recesión es inminente. Los mercados se desploman. Y junto con ellos parece que también la cordura de Trump. Cada vez que aparece en público, dice cosas más extrañas. Actúa de manera un poco más errática y luce más incoherente que nunca. Yo creo que ya nos hemos acostumbrado a esto en su caótica copresidencia, ¿no? Pero bueno, luego sale y publica en Truth Social y la situación se vuelve aún más extraña y más agresiva. Exactamente es lo que estamos viendo ahora, que la economía que supuestamente prometió mejorar se desploma bajo su gestión. Mientras tanto, pues vimos cómo el gobierno de Biden en cierta medida había logrado un crecimiento económico sólido post pandemia, donde muchos comenzaron a rumorear que ya estábamos en recesión o que se acercaba la recesión. Pero lo que no sabíamos es que la recesión que se acercaba era Donald Trump. Sean bienvenidos a Políticamente en Desacuerdo. Amigos, hoy veremos cómo Bernie Sanders sale en escena y expone todas estas realidades. La reacción de Trump es muy simple. Un berrinche monumental. Así que los invito a que se queden hasta el final de este video porque veremos los detalles más interesantes. Bueno amigos, antes de que entremos directo al berrinche de Trump, primero creo que escuchemos el contexto, ¿no? Vemos un poco de lo que dijo Bernie Sanders en su discurso. Veamos un fragmento.
People all over this country understand we are a nation today that faces enormous crises. Sadly, the continuing resolution passed Tuesday in the U.S. House, and which will come to this body very shortly, not only does nothing to address these crises, but in fact, it makes a bad situation much worse. Today, at a time when we have more income and wealth inequality than we have ever had in the history of this country, 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck. And what that means, Mr. President, I grew up in a family living paycheck to paycheck. It means that people are worried about how they're going to afford housing. What happens if their landlord raises the rent? People go to the grocery store and they see the high price of food and wonder how they're going to feed their kids. People are looking at the outrageous cost of childcare, but you need childcare if you're going to go to work. How can you afford childcare? Our healthcare system is dysfunctional. People worry about how they can afford healthcare if they are lucky enough to be able to find a doctor. That is the reality of what's going on in our country today. Rich are getting richer, working people are struggling, and 800,000 Americans are sleeping out in the streets. So given that reality, what does this bill do? The bill written by the right-wing extremists in the House of Representatives without any bipartisan discussion at all. What does this bill do? Well, let me count the ways that it makes the financial struggles of working people even more difficult than they are today. And it does all of that, Mr. President, to lay the groundwork for massive tax breaks for Elon Musk and the billionaire class. For a start, some 22% of our seniors in this country are trying to survive on $15,000 a year or less. which to me is really quite incredible. I don't know how anybody, let alone a senior, survives on $15,000 a year or less. Half of our seniors are trying to survive on $30,000 a year or less. So what does the Trump-Musk administration do to address the terrible economic pressures on seniors all over America? Well, they got a brilliant idea. They illegally fire thousands of workers at the Social Security Administration with plans to cut that staff in half. Mr. President, in America today, 30,000 people die each year waiting to receive their Social Security disability benefits because of a grossly understaffed and under-resourced Social Security Administration.
Nadie mejor que Bernie para dar este mensaje, ¿no? Lo que dice es completamente acertado. Donald Trump y su agenda MAGA están sirviendo para los intereses de los multimillonarios y nada más. Como lo menciona, estamos viendo un gobierno creado por y para los más ricos. O sea, ya ni siquiera es cuestión de influencia sobre las leyes. Son ellos quienes las redactan y aún las imponen desde sus posiciones no electas en la Casa Blanca. El dinero oscuro ya no es un factor en la política. El dinero oscuro es la política. Pero bueno, aquí está el problema para ellos. Ese mismo sistema que han manipulado ahora les está jugando en contra, porque Trump está haciendo colapsar los mercados. Se ha prácticamente disparado en el pie y él lo sabe muy bien. Por eso es que comienza con sus rabietas en redes sociales. Veamos lo que escribió. Él publicó lo siguiente: el globalista Wall Street Journal no tiene ni idea de lo que está diciendo o haciendo. Está controlando por la contaminada forma de pensar en la Unión Europea, que fue creada con el propósito principal de perjudicar a Estados Unidos. Su pensamiento está desactualizado, es débil y muy malo para el país. No teman, ganaremos con todo, los precios de los huevos han bajado, ojo que es falso, el petróleo ha bajado, ojo, incorrecto, las tasas de interés han bajado, vuelve a mentir, y el dinero de los aranceles está llegando a raudales a Estados Unidos. Otra gran mentira. La única cosa que hay que temer es el miedo mismo. Bueno, pues señores, un poco forzado, ¿no? La comparación que realmente encaja con Herbert Hoover. Una economía que iba bien, que luego se desploma varias veces bajo su administración. Felicidades, Donald, has logrado batir récords en hundir la economía. Mientras los multimillonarios pueden perder unos cuantos millones sin que les afecte demasiado, las personas que realmente sufren son los votantes de Trump. Es la clase trabajadora que creyó en sus promesas. Y nuevamente Bernie Sanders les habla directamente en otro fragmento de su discurso. Veamos esto.
Let's be clear. The House CR that was passed in an extremely partisan vote. I think they won by 3 or 4 votes. One Democrat out of 215 voted for it. The House CR and the Trump administration are doing everything they can to lay the groundwork for more tax breaks for billionaires, paid for by massive cuts to Medicaid, nutrition assistance, housing, and education. So you're looking at a 1-2 punch, a very bad CR, and then a reconciliation bill coming down, which will be the final kick in the teeth for the American people. This legislation that the Republicans are working on, the reconciliation bill, would cut taxes for billionaires in the top 1% by over $1.1 trillion over the next decade. According to a recent study, if all of Trump's so-called America First policies are enacted, the bottom 95% of Americans will see their taxes go up, while the richest 5% will see their taxes go down, way down. I should also mention that that reconciliation bill, which Republicans are working on right now, would also cut Medicaid by $880 billion. Tax breaks for billionaires, throwing low-income kids off of health care, decimating nursing homes all over America because nursing homes receive 2/3 of their funding from Medicaid, making it harder for community health centers to survive, who provide health care to 32 million Americans, because 43% of their revenue comes from Medicaid. Cut Medicaid by $880 billion. You will significantly deteriorate the quality of health care all over America at a time when the system is already broken. Further, the reconciliation bill proposes to cut at least $230 billion from nutrition. Today, nearly 1 out of 5 kids in America rely on federal nutrition programs to keep them from going hungry. And I find it rather remarkable that the richest person on earth, somebody worth hundreds of billions of dollars, that he and his other oligarch friends are working night and day to cut programs for the working people of this country and to actually deny food to hungry kids in America. There is no world, no universe, no religion that would not believe that that is grossly immoral and unacceptable. You don't give tax breaks to the rich and take food away from hungry children. Mr. President, the House CR bill that we will be soon voting on here is a piece of legislation I cannot support. Instead, what the Senate must do is pass a 30-day CR so that all members of Congress, not just the House Republican leadership, can come together and produce a good piece of legislation that works for all Americans and not just the few. We have an opportunity now to serve the American people. We have an opportunity to write something that reflects what people in the Congress feel, what the people in America feel. Now, I go around the country, and just a couple of weeks ago, I held a telephone town hall in Vermont. We are a small state, Mr. President. We only have about 650,000 people. And yet on that telephone town hall, there was some 34,000 people listening in. And it's a significant percentage of a small state. I have been in many parts of the country recently. I have been in Iowa. I have been in Wisconsin. I have been in Nebraska. I've been in Michigan. And what I can tell you with absolute certainty is whether people are conservative, whether they're Republican, whether they're progressive, whether they're moderate, independent, whatever they may be, there are very few people in this country who think we should give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the rich and cut back on Medicaid, education, and nutritional programs for hungry children. So, Mr. President, what I strongly propose is that we pass a 30-day CR, that we do what has always been the case here in the Senate, have both parties work together to come up with a good piece of legislation.
Amigos, este es el mensaje que se tiene que difundir. Bernie sigue dando en el clavo cada vez que habla y por eso yo creo que es importante amplificar su voz. Y bueno, nosotros siempre vamos a intentarlo. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarme hasta el final de este video. Como siempre, si me quieres apoyar, regálame un like, comparte el video con tus amigos y suscríbete a nuestro canal Políticamente en Desacuerdo. Nos vemos en el próximo video. Hasta luego.